Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, Clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, ThirstTrap, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, ThirstTrap, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mundell. Welcome to Clickbaity. I'm also joined by my ace coon on this hosting shit.
What's up, Marcus Farrell, all the way live, Atlanta with no T, Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta with no T.
Yeah, Atlanta with no T. I want everybody to peep the mask, the new mask, you know what I mean? Today we rocking FAMU all the way around, even the shirt, you know, let's go.
Marcus, before we get started with our take on the news, our highly anticipated, opinionated take on the news for the day, let's talk about, let me address something real quick. This is on not just on my behalf, it's on behalf of anyone that's associated with Political Thirst Trap and our unimportant video series. I know there's been a lot of people that's been watching, and we are so thankful for that. This is something we feel passionate about, but I also want to address this idea that because we have three men, black men on this camera, that we are being sexist, misogynoir, or even shady towards anybody. And I think that type of thought is reprehensible, not because it's not possible for black men to be any of those things, but because the space that we're occupying hasn't been that. You can go back and check either one of the videos. All we do is big up people. There's no shade going on over here unless you're an elected official. So anyone parroting that narrative that we're being sexist, misogynoir, and or shady towards somebody, it's unscrupulous, especially, like I said, since the videos are available. So because people are saying that, we're gonna make them the clickbaity subject of the day. That subject is haters. Marcus,
man, listen, haters. A hater will hate you if you have a job. A hater will hate you if you breathe oxygen. A hater will hate you because they ain't got nothing else to do during the coronavirus but find somebody to hate. You can't even go outside right now and you hating on people. A hater will hate you because you got on black. A hater will hate you because you got on white. A hater will hate you because you decide to just talk about the news. Hey, if you start a clothing line for large women, haters will hate you because it's not for skinny women, and vice versa. So haters are going to do their hating thing. And remember this, if you're hating and you're getting hated on, if you're getting hated on, this means one thing, you're doing the right thing. Thank you, Mondell.
Oh, indeed, brother. I appreciate that. So if you're hating on our unimportant video series, thank you for watching enough to hate. Just stop the hate. It's ridiculous. So Marcus, we didn't record yesterday.
Real quick, before we start, because I know we didn't record yesterday, I need to be able to find the link. How do folks find the link? If they're not, how do I share the link? What is it on?
It's on the Clickbaity page. It's on the Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap page. Just go to the page, share it on your timeline, share it with everybody. Once again, that page is Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. Go there, share the video. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thank you for mentioning that, Marcus. But yeah, like I said, man, we didn't record last night. What kind of trouble you get into? What'd you do?
Man, last night I literally watched the beginning of Star Wars, and it made me go into, see, I'm a gamer, so one day we'll talk about that, but it made me go into Star Wars, the video game, and I realized how older I'm getting, how slower my reactions are. These video games are made for a lot of younger cats. But I watched a couple of episodes of Star Wars, got my George Lucas on, and then did a lot of the canon stuff. Yeah, yeah. Well, Disney owns it now, but Disney owns everything. What I miss the most about watching though is sports. I miss sports very bad. I miss looking forward to a competition between Venus or between Zion Williamson or who's going to be in the playoffs right now. Yeah, this last week would have been the NCAA basketball final
Wow.
for the tournament. Last week would have been the NCAA basketball final. Now, if you can imagine during that time period what everybody was doing. Now, I'm a FAMU fan. I'm a fan. I'm a Florida State fan, Florida State basketball. So I'm not gonna get into it too long, but they had Florida State actually going to the national championship this year. And the
They who?
one year,
They who?
ESPN, Joe Lunardi, one of the top people who actually look him up. Joe Lunardi had Florida State playing in the championship game this year. And the year that my team is good, society changed. So no basketball championships, no football championships. We just got to deal with what we got to deal with.
I hear that. I actually don't have a dog in the fight when it comes to sports. You know how I feel about that. I do want to talk about something you mentioned though. You talked about society change. So there's been a lot of news today about Corona and the coronavirus and some updates, and not in traditional sense, because I don't want anybody to think that we're trying to play doctor or the new Surgeon General, because it's not what it is. But I definitely think there's some space to talk about some of the things that happen. What have you been reading about the coronavirus today? Any new news that folk need to know about?
Yeah, well, just the biggest thing is don't spread false information. That's the biggest thing to me. Don't spread false information. And also, no matter what we do, coronavirus, and I saw this post from somebody on Twitter, but coronavirus is not racist, but our society is. And that's one of the reasons why so many African Americans are being affected by it. But we can dig a little bit deeper into it. But when it comes down to the coronavirus and what I'm going through, all I remind myself to do is wear my mask and wear my gloves, and then actually talk to people who don't have masks and gloves on in public, who are in crowded places. That if like I'm in the gas station or the grocery store, I actually tell, hey sister, hey brother, I got an extra glove. You might want to find you a mask. This is serious out here.
Yeah, so I don't engage people about their protective gear, because for a lot of reasons, but mainly I'm just worried about what the interaction can turn into, and also being that close enough to share that. As it pertains to me, and what I found interesting today in my reading about the coronavirus, was there are a couple things that stood out to me. The first thing was I was doing some research about where Trump has been on the coronavirus, and I saw an interview. His first interview, his public speaking about the coronavirus, was January 22nd of this year. He was at the World Economics Summit, and someone asked him about did he believe if China was being transparent in how they were handling the efforts around coronavirus, and Trump's response was, I do. So he sounded excited, like a happy groom. So for if you fast forward to now, for people to be like Trump saying, China not doing their part, it's interesting to see how this president, moves so far on the opposite ends of the spectrum on issues. And it's not just the corona. He does it a lot about a lot of things. He's against them before he's for them, or vice versa. And the second other thing kind of relates to what you were talking about, Black people and this racist nature of this country and how corona is affecting us. I just saw a couple articles about police officers targeting Black men wearing masks in stores. So when we're talking about brothers not having a mask or people not having a mask, I'm also hearing that people are being targeted because they are Black men wearing masks. And this one brother in North Carolina, where I'm from, was actually kicked out of a store, or asked to leave the store because he had on a mask. And he was talking about, and this brother was actually a middle-aged brother who was, he had on he said he was conscious about the color of mask he chose. He bought a lime green one, a pink one, and a Carolina blue one, so he could try to lessen the threat of him, a Black man, being in a mask. But it still didn't help because he was still kicked out of the store, and he was only trying to get necessities. He was saying it was his first time leaving the house since the stay-in home order had been announced in North Carolina. So the tragedy is, even when Black people are trying to participate and listen to rules, i.e. put on masks because of corona, we still are targeted. People will find a way to target Black men, Black people, anyway, at any time, in any way possible. So that's right. That's what I took from the corona news today, man. It was kind of depressing thinking about that. Also, some of the other stuff around the corona, we America's tolls, the numbers just keep rising. America is leaving all the other countries, unfortunately, in the dust when it comes to like Corona and its contractions and also deaths. So it's tragic for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, institutional racism doesn't stop won't stop for no virus. I mean, you got to think about it. I posted on my page. It was the young brother who was actually getting escorted out of Walmart, and even in these times, the excuse that the police department or that police officer used was they look suspicious. They look suspicious. Now, let's talk about what suspicious looks like.
Black.
Suspicious obviously looks like black because there are white people in that same Walmart who have the same mask on, probably even black masks. Some of them even have hoodies on. So at some point and some place, we have to start like realizing what institutional racism actually looks like, and it doesn't stop with the virus. Our issues have been the same before. A white guy can drive a red truck and not get pulled over, and a black guy can drive the same exact red truck and not get pulled over. A white guy can walk down the street in Texas with an automatic rifle and not get harassed, and the black guy has a sidearm that he can legally carry, and he'll get thrown on the ground and harassed in a background check. That's the America that we live in.
Yeah. So I mean, I also think about this, Marcus, or just tell me what you think about this. Like how do Trump evangelicals, not all of his, I don't care about all of his followers or believers, but how do Trump, these forever Trumpers, how do they allow this space, those that are evangelicals, where he can just continue to like lie and waffle on issues so important and also small and keep a straight face when they defend him? Like where's their standing and where's this coming from, you believe?
The irony of all of this is that, and I'll answer that, but I just want to say the irony of all of this is the simple fact that these guys are pro-life and they claim to be pro-life. And they died on the sword of having a black president and also being pro-life. And that's how Trump got elected the first time around. And now when it's time for you to actually be pro-life, there's conspiracy theorists. And we'll get into Diamond and Silk because Diamond and Silk was out here who are and they're not.
It's related. Go ahead and talk about, let people know who Diamond and Silk are.
Yeah, Diamond and Silk are the conservative sisters from North Carolina who pretty much are very avid Trump supporters. And if you don't know who Diamond and Silk is, you've seen them before because they've said
campaign hard.
Yeah, campaign hard. And they say some of the most outlandish things. And what they said recently on Twitter was that they believe that you have to get your body accustomed to society, accustomed to a disease in order to get it over with it. So they suggested that people should just go ahead and go outside.
Oh, wow.
And they got banned for Twitter from it. Now,
I don't rock with Diamond and Silk. But what I do notice though is there's a different level of like punishment for black people. These sisters got banned. These sisters got banned from Twitter for doing something that Donald Trump do on a daily basis, right? Donald Trump spread misinformation every day, and Twitter is yet to ban him. And it's not just Twitter. We see this on Facebook where a lot of black activists are, put in the proverbial Facebook jail or banned from Facebook at a rate way more alarming than white activists. So I'm upset that sisters are spreading the misinformation, but I'm also upset that Twitter, blocked them from Facebook, from Twitter, but not Donald Trump and all of the other people that spread lies on a regular basis on that platform.
So let's go ahead and just do something real quick. All right. So from what the scientists are saying right now, what is absolutely not true is that you can go outside and get your body accustomed to having COVID-19.
That's absolutely not true.
That's absolutely not true. What's also not true is that there is some kind of media rumor, there's some kind of conspiracy theory that is making COVID-19 the reason why America is locked down right now, and reluctantly so by the Republican Party, by the way, until they figure out the talking point.
So much so that they're in court today. Did you see that? Kansas was in court today because the governor's trying to say nobody should go to church tomorrow, and the Republican legislator is challenging the Democratic governor saying, no, you're taking away people's First Amendment right and people should be able to go to church tomorrow. Yeah.
So I have a funny feeling that the GOP wants to kill us all, right? or the least of us. But we need to just make sure that we dispel threats. You know how you slow down the curve? You stay at home and you only go outside for the essentials, right? That the essentials are gas, the essentials are food, the essentials are water, and the essentials are if you are a essential employee, and then you have to overprotect yourself. The unfortunate part about an essential employee is that most of them are lower income and Black. Therefore, the brothers and sisters that you see at the grocery store bagging your groceries during this time period, the person that you see in the gas station, right? All the people that you see actually making life somewhat normal for us are at the most risk. So do yourselves a favor, wear a glove, wear a mask when you go out. When you come back inside your house, wash your hands for 20 seconds. I mean, I don't want to sound like a PSA, but it seems like brothers and sisters really don't take, some of our brothers and sisters don't take this seriously. And
well, I mean, you're also, but you're also like, I mean, like it's hard to say because there are doctors, and like I said, I'm not out here to spread information about Corona. I think a lot of the executives of states and also the country, or at least some of his medical team, are giving people the information they need as it pertains to the coronavirus and how we should be reacting to it. I will say though, I've heard, results about like what can happen when you have on gloves and you're not taking them off properly, or you're touching your face with these gloves or whatever, and you're not disposing of them properly and you leave them. So once again, the workers for like state governments or local government having to pick these gloves up off the ground, or workers in these stores having to pick them up out of parking lot. So I don't have an opinion on that. What I do have is though, I do think what you said, like you listed some stuff that was essential. I also say that, getting outside and exercising is essential as well.
That's right. And there's a way that, and there's a way that you can do that. Listen, I get up and I go walking every single day from here to the Jimmy Carter Center and back. That's my walk, right? And one thing that I'm starting to see at first 3 weeks ago when the coronavirus started, not many people had masks on. What I see now though is every Black person that I see has a mask on. Some of them have gloves on. Most of them have hoodies on, and they're going and doing their thing. So I mean, I'm not mad at what I am mad at though, and I will say this right here, is the Black basketball courts. Come on, bruh. Come on, bro. Y'all got to stay inside. Y'all can't be posting each other up right now. Like, y'all have to figure out how to stay 6 feet away from each other. Play some tennis. I mean, I'm not even recommending that, but do something that has some distance away from each other so we won't accidentally spread the virus around our community. And plus, just stop being a fuckboy a little bit. And what I mean by that is just because somebody official says you might want to do something doesn't necessarily make it bad. Just go ahead and try it just so we can flatten the curve and save grandma, save cousin, save auntie. Damn, bro.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like I said, I don't want to confuse people and like make people think that we know anything as it pertains to medical and coronavirus. So this is not what we do. We out here, we offer our opinions on issues that are important to us and issues that are important to, that we feel are important to Black people. So speaking of issues that are important, presidential election. Joe Biden is wooing Bernie's supporters. I got a couple questions for you about that. What do you think Bernie's role is in helping Joe woo his supporters, and then also what is Joe's role? What's necessary for Joe to win Bernie supporters?
I mean, listen, I've been hypercritical of Bernie Sanders. I've been hypercritical of Joe Biden. I kind of understand both worlds. One world is moderation, and one world is capitalism first, and the other world is people first. And we try to hide those, and they both have flaws in their thought process, right? As our dear brother Dr. West said, right now we have ideological neoconservatives and neoliberals, right? Neo-fascists, and neoliberals, right? So at this point, we're going to have to make sure that the neoliberal gets elected, because neo-fascism does nothing but hurt everyone involved in it, except for a specific few. For Bernie Sanders supporters to actually go across to Joe Biden, see this week in a TPM article, it said Biden seems to offer consolidation prizes to Sanders' camp on Medicare and student debt. Now, what Biden offered the Sanders campaign on Medicare was, instead of people starting to get it at 65, now people start to get it at 60. And then he said he wanted to cancel student debt and work on a program to cancel student debt. I'm going to tell you right now, even though people say that Bernie Sanders supporters are perfectionists and are absolutists, you have to understand this right here. That ain't shit. That's not going to get it. And the average Bernie Sanders supporter is going to look at you and be like, we've been screaming Medicare for all, not Medicare for 60, right? And there's no gradual single payer. As a Black man, one of the most uninsured populations that literally has a lifespan that doesn't last past 60 much, right? What is that going to do for me when it's time for my healthcare to go to time for me to get healthcare? So, I mean, I understand what they're trying to do, and I understand that it's a slow haul. Canceling student debt might be something because that's kind of a common sense thing. But Joe is trying to minimize injuries to corporations as much as possible, and also bring Bernie Sanders on board. And I think the fundamental problem with that is you just can't do both.
Yeah, I think there's a way where, and we all understand. I hope we all understand that politics is not about getting everything. The definition of politics is compromise, right? So, like,
that's right.
To exist in this space, and I think that's the scratch with like most of Bernie supporters strike me, or not most of them because I haven't done any study, but a lot of them strike me as activists. And activists have a job and a role to play. Activist roles are to tear down systems, right? If you're an activist, it's not to like curtail. That's an advocate, or that's a politician's role. So I think Joe Biden has to understand that you're trying to work with or bring on a group of activists to support you, and you know, saying things like Medicaid at 60 is the answer. That's not enough. I also would say
it's an insult. It's an insult, Mondale.
It is.
I mean,
okay.
It's yeah. Go. I mean, go ahead.
It is an insult, but I would add, what I want to add though is I also think that you know, voting in a general election is more about for me, it's about how can I win, or who can I, if my candidate is not the candidate of choice, which candidate that I'm choosing between, who can I move the most? And I feel like I can move Joe Biden more than I can the other guy, Donald Trump. And the reason I say that is because, and I'm not talking about me by myself, I'm talking about me and the people that support issues that I care about, supposedly the progressive community. And the way we do that is not just talking about Joe Biden, but it's about electing a Congress, both houses, winning both houses, and then holding him accountable when we pass legislation that's more progressive than our president. He will not be allowed to veto it when you have the majority of Democrats in both houses supporting legislation that's progressive. So so my push is that's only so far Joe Biden's going to go, regardless of what we need him to do. It's not going to happen. Joe Biden is never going to be Bernie Sanders, and definitely not by November of this year. So what I think is we need to focus on other elections that we care about as well, and other candidates that are important. We should do this anyway. But I think right now for Joe Biden, if he's truly concerned about winning this election and winning over Bernie supporters, he should be investing in down ballot progressives races in a way that no presidential candidate has ever done before.
And let's do this right here, because I agree with everything you just said. Down ballot is pretty much going to be the reason that saves Joe Biden, but if it's done in the correct way. So I think there's something that we need to understand about COVID-19 and politics, because a lot of people that we talk to, a lot of my brothers are just now starting to realize that politics has something to do with why they got fired, or politics has something to do with why they are stuck in the house. So let's explain this on a local level. You want to vote for your city council. Why? Because your city council creates ordinances. And ordinances like, hey, listen, if you're out past 7 o'clock because of this coronavirus, then you're going to get a ticket, right? So that's another reason why you might be inside. Let's talk about the mayor's office. I ain't going to work my way all the way up, but let's go through it real quick. Most police departments in America are accountable to the mayor. The mayor hires some of these superintendents, hires some of these, and they hire some of these folks who are running. They are accountable to the police department. Now, if the police department decides they want to pull you over or they want to give you a ticket, or they want to arrest you, or they want to kick you out of a restaurant or out of a central location because of your mask, that means that the coronavirus has not affected your mayor enough to make sure that his or her police officers are acting and doing the right thing during this time period. If you want to talk about how much money you got, that $1,200 that you got, which we're about to get into real soon, folks, that $1,200 that you're about to get, the stimulus check that you're about to get. If you vote for the right congressperson who says, I believe in a living wage, then that means that you're going to vote for somebody that might not be a part of right now. See, a living wage is not minimum wage. And if you don't know how that number was collected for the $1,200, stop me if I'm wrong, Mondale, but if you don't know how that money was collected, how they decided that $1,200 is going to be the number, they took the federal minimum wage and they multiplied it by a month. And that's exactly how much money that you got. Probably $80 more than that. So we got to understand that if you have somebody who believes in a living wage or a $15 wage, you would have gotten a little bit more money for that that stimulus check, and that would have been pushed. So local elections matter.
They definitely matter, and I always use the analogy of how important, well, not even an analogy, just the thought that mayors elect police chiefs set the tone of their department. So that's an absolute fact. Also, district attorney elections, and I will say this, as it pertains, because I wanted to say this earlier when we were talking about healthcare and what Bernie supporters are going to move or not move on. Healthcare is not the number one issue for Black men across this country. So, like if we're talking about it, I think we need to be clear that we're talking about voters in general when we're talking about healthcare and how you win over voters. Healthcare for Medicaid for all, through town halls that we've done. Like I said a few episodes back, you've been a part of a couple of those town halls. Medicaid was not the top issue. The top issue is police brutality and also public education. Yeah, public education, because brothers want trades back in school because those are jobs that they can't get fired from, nor are they least likely to be discriminated against. So yeah, so I think that's right. You were also talking about down ballot races, and I'm glad you were, because I want to talk about some other candidates. We always talk about presidential candidates, and I feel like we're feeding into the narrative that the presidential election is the sexiest election, when it's not. There are so many more elections that are important. So are there any other candidates that you care about right now?
Yeah, I'm going to go one step down from the presidential election, and I would go first. I want to give a shout out to Angie Nixon, who is running for state house in Jacksonville, Florida, and that is my favorite candidate. And I am going to elevate her. So, Sister Angie, you will get elevated. But I'm going to go into specifics about your campaign because I believe that there's a lot of dynamics that America needs to know. But my candidate that I want to talk about today is Jamie Harrison in South Carolina. He's running for U.S. Senate. And I like him because he has integrity, right? And a lot of people say integrity and don't mean it. Jamie's one of the only people who was the chair of a Democratic Party in 2016 who literally stepped back and said, I'm not going to pick and choose sides. I'm not going to work for Hillary. I'm not going to work for Bernie. I'm just going to make sure that it's a fair nomination process. He never endorsed. He never acted like he endorsed. And he's running against Lindsey Graham.
And he's running against Lindsey Graham.
And he's running against Lindsey Graham. So a good, fair, honest man is running against a crook, corrupt, and almost pseudo-racist, and I'll say that, politician that has been running South Carolina like a plantation for years, and I will say that. So
yeah, I was at a conference earlier, and the brother was speaking. I can't remember his name, and the brother said, "There's two ways you can be. You can be anti-racist, or you can be racist. That's it. There's no in between." So when you said pseudo-racist, Lindsey Graham support policies that are racist and harmful to people of color. So I don't think it's pseudo anything. I think it's just racist because it's behavior. You're not racist or anti-racist because you're a nice person or you're not a nice person. You're racist because of the way you act and show up in the world. And Lindsey Graham is that. So I hear you on that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't interrupt.
No, it's fine. Listen, I believe, and I want to get this right. It's Jamie Harrison. You can donate to his campaign. Let me make sure I got it right. I should have had it up.
Well, while you're talking about that, I think for me, right now, I'm super excited about the number of Black people running for sheriff across this country. One of those in particular is John Williams in Athens, Georgia. The brother's running for sheriff on a progressive platform in a space that we should be winning anyway in Georgia. And the fact that he's not being, silent or afraid to be as progressive as he is in a time where COVID-19 got us quarantined, and he's still running his campaign on policies that's not about over policing people, that are not about locking up more bodies to fill more jails. It's about being honest in a way that doesn't require you to be tough on crime when crime ain't what you need to be tough on. You need to be tough on the other issues that create these spaces, especially when we see violent crime down all across this country. for a number of years. So John Williams is the candidate that I want to lift up right now. The brother is doing amazing work running for sheriff. And I think as a sheriff in Athens will be amazing representation of community.
So if he gets elected, he's not just going to try to like throw my black ass in jail?
Well, you don't go to Athens anyway, so let's just keep it 100. But no,
I go to Athens?
Probably for a football game, but like I said, you ain't going.
I was saying.
No, like the brother really has a plan and a platform that speaks to what really is ailing the community. And I think him getting behind that him throwing his name on the ballot is a powerful thing, and it's necessary all over this country. And he's just one of the many sheriffs that's running progressive races all over this country. There are a few in Texas as well, and also in Cincinnati, Ohio of all places. So yeah, I love it. I love it, man. Sheriff elections are so important to me because these people run jails, and there's too many people in jails in this country. And I feel like jail is a place that, right now, jail is a place that's an incubator for COVID. But beyond that, it's also a place where people are being held even before they've been convicted of anything. And it's stopping their lives. And it's not just affecting them, it's affecting their entire family.
In cash bail. Hey, speaking of cash, Mondale, the government run you your check yet, brother?
Fortunately and unfortunately, I don't qualify for a stimulus. I will say this. I'm excited that the first stimulus are starting to hit people's ballots. I'm sad about the fact that it's $1,200 and not what people really need to survive. I'm also sad that we don't have a plan that people are going to get these things on a monthly basis until we're out of this craziness. And I am also sad that I'm fearful, not sad. I'm fearful that people will, use this $1,200 as a way to say, well, Donald Trump did something to help people. And I'm talking about like people on his side will say, well, Trump, gave $1,200. People don't know this because this is insider baseball. But the reason that these funds weren't released faster is because like this funds was supposed to be on Visa cards, like, right? But Trump wanted to make sure everybody got a check or something with his name on it. So that they had to argue with this president that, writing checks just so your signature can be large on somebody's name and everybody can have your name on that check is a dumb idea, of the many dumb ideas Donald Trump has produced since he's been in office. But so, I mean, like that, even that like type of mishandling of the $1,200 that people are receiving. And I don't want to downplay the $1,200 because I know folk are in dire situations. Some folk are, but I definitely want to mention that $1,200 is not enough. It's nowhere near what people need to exist in this space, in this time. And also I'm sad that it's not a reoccurring payment for folk.
And here's the thing, Americans are a persevering people. White Americans, Black Americans. Like this is my I was in the Navy, US Navy moment, and Mondale was in the US Marine Corps moment. Americans are persevering folks, man. Like we're tough as hell. We'll take a dime and stretch it out to 15 cents, but that's not living. That's not liberty in the pursuit of happiness, right? That's more so barely making it, right? And if you're giving a family of four $1,200, if you're giving a family that needs that just $1,200, I hope Congress gets their behinds back to DC, and I believe they go back on the 23rd of this month.
Well, I hope Congress is being safe and practicing social distancing. I don't care where they're doing it at. So you don't need to be in DC to legislate. But I hear what you're saying.
But when they get back to session and when they hold session again, I hope that they see what's really going on and see that people are losing their jobs. I hope the CBC pushes for $2,000 to $3,000 a month from the government instead of $1,200 a month. We don't need the penny ante Americans, right? You want to get the economy going, then you want to put money into Americans' pockets. You don't want to get the economy going thinking that this archaic trickle down Reagan era thought process when there's a coronavirus going on is going to actually help your society. And if Trump thinks, because I heard he thinks this, that on May, he's going to open up the economy by May 6th.
Yeah.
Like May 5th or May 6th.
Yeah.
That we are looking at Christmas before the economy gets anywhere close to being open.
Well, the tragedy is like we see cities and states like numbers are jumping and spiking, and we're talking about an economy a working economy. I don't care about an economy that's working if people are dying at the expense of that working economy. That makes no sense to me. And the fact that conversation is been in the media over and over for a few days is scary to me, because it reminds me that business has way too much control over our politics in this country, and that's tragic for so many reasons, but mainly because people's lives are at stake right now.
That's right.
Lives are at stake.
That's right. I wish I had my unemployment insurance numbers up, but I'm very interested in knowing the percentage of African American men and women separated that are insured right now. We would definitely need to be having a different conversation about, and not now, not in the general election of 2020, but December of 2020. No matter whether Trump gets reelected or Joe Biden hopefully wins, there has to be a conversation about what we're going to do about the uninsured people of our society, right? I also want to say this right here. Shout out to all the parents. I bet y'all will give them teachers a raise now, won't you? I had a conversation.
And I don't have kids, you know that. So I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak on behalf of parents, but I would argue that majority of parents aren't against teachers getting raises. I think it's the way that we value business over people and what's important in the society. Like the fact that the money for businesses is flowing and continuing to flow, and it's so hard to get money for people, speaks to who is important to this government.
That's right. That's right. So it's Saturday night.
It is Saturday night, man.
It is Saturday night, and I want to talk about this real quick because I think we got enough truth, and a lot of people are like edgy because I'm getting in the way of one of the more epic battles. So last week, the week before last, it was Timberland versus, who was it? Timbo versus I can't think. Pharrell. Was it Timbo versus Pharrell? Who was it?
DJ battles?
Yeah, the DJ battle.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that to you. I don't do I went to one battle. I think it was Scott Storch versus Manny Fresh. But I like D Nice sets. But beyond that, man, I'm literally not up on the DJs enough to say which one I'm rooting for. Yeah,
then you had TPain versus Little John.
TPain is a blessing. TPain should have a statue on the National Mall. I'm a TPain fan.
He need to have one in Tallahassee, Florida, my hometown first. Let's have a TPain monument in Tallahassee. So many people in Tallahassee don't be calling me like either hating or being like, I agree. Because guess what? No matter what you say, there's gonna be a hater.
TPain's talented, man.
Yeah, he is. He's talented. He's an amazing singer, right?
I didn't even know he was an amazing singer until I saw him on a Tiny Desk series, the NPR series where they play like concerts at the desk. He did a show up there, and he was like, you could tell he was nervous, but the brother was amazing. He had no auto-tune, and just to watch him perform, it blew my mind. I didn't even know he had that much skill. So I was impressed.
His brother passed away last year. Rashid Najim, I want to give him a shout out if I mentioned him. One of my best friends on the planet passed away. But Fahim, TPain is his real. Fahim is his real name, but TPain is the man. But they say that Little John touched him with the songs because they were going hit for hit. Right? And I didn't realize how many tracks Little John had been on. But on the same token, I think TPain had more epic hits than Lil Jon, but I think Lil Jon had a lot more music that was out there, beat for beat. But tonight's battle is the RZA versus DJ Premier. And, my indication is that, like, if you're a kid of the late 80s, early 90s, you're probably going to end up liking Primo a little bit more than the RZA. But if you're a 90s baby, you're going to go with the RZA. So, I feel like here's my thing, and I know the hip hop head is gonna kill me over this. I feel like you have to be a certain type of person to like the RZA's music. For me, Wu-Tang was good. Like what the fuck you mean?
For me, Wu-Tang is a wonderful group. I couldn't listen to a whole Wu-Tang album in one setting.
Yeah. man. What were you listening to in high school, Mondale?
The beginning of high school, 93, I was listening to probably Big Pop, NWA, and Bone Thugs and Harmony like everybody else my age. I don't know.
Yeah, listen.
Oh,
listen.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that, CNN, Capone Noriega. So yeah, those guys.
Okay, that's not bad, but like saying that you have to be a special person to like Cream Get the Money, dollar
I like
bill,
that.
y'all.
That's you can listen to that, but that's not the whole album though. Come on, let's be serious. Like to sit down and listen to an entire Wu-Tang album.
Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yay. Give me the mic so I can take it away.
You're proving my point.
Right there, bro.
You're naming proving my point. You're naming one track from different albums.
I mean, the whole 36 Chambers was a beautiful album. Why just go type in 36 Chambers and tell me a bad song?
I'll take the smoke on this. I'm just telling you, I can't listen to an entire I can't listen to an entire Wu-Tang album in one setting.
But here's the thing.
It's like a plate full of broccoli with no seasoning.
Right. So here's the thing, though. You are also talking to a person who grew up off Booty Shake music and like literal Booty Shake, 2 Live Crew, Rex and Effect.
Rex and Effects.
Come on, yeah, I brought one back, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Say we got people online talking about they going with Primo. Since we got a little time, you want to shout some of them out real quick?
Well, I want to shout out. I want to shout out Kimberly Carter. She's been to every episode and she walks all the way through. So shout out to Kimberly, and she's dope. Also, the brother Maynard Scales Jr. Maynard is one of the brothers from Three Brothers and a Mic. So hopefully we'll be tagging up with them pretty soon. Those brothers doing great work. They have a podcast. They have a podcast. I think it's like 4 years old. So we're gonna be doing some stuff with them pretty soon. I'm excited about what that's gonna look like. Shout out to him. And I also see some other folk online. You want to call them up?
Yeah, Ify. I see you. Thank you for joining us. You've been on every time or left comments every time. My brother Richard Cruz. Oh yeah, we have somebody from the wonderful world of Warren here, Lachelle Gilly. She did some amazing work for Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaign. She's rocking with us tonight. So Richard, Nathan, I think there's a few other folks that are on here. Deborah Adams, Carlton Worthen, pastor. We got a religious man on here. I hope he didn't hang up as soon as I started cussing, because I cussed.
Questions. If anybody have any questions, please type your questions in. We definitely will answer your questions. I received a question earlier about someone asking me what's my thought on the Bernie or Bust movement. And
Hold on. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, but it's interesting because what I've been hearing is that the Bernie folks are like, we're gonna run Bernie anyway. So, and I think it's dangerous. I'm not even gonna lie. I think there's a certain amount of
they're gonna run. Bernie
they're gonna still campaign. They're gonna actively campaign for Bernie Sanders as either a write-in or so. Even though he's not there, they're gonna still maybe make telephone calls, keep their phone bank going, and that's dangerous.
But are they campaigning for progressive issues, or are they campaigning still for Bernie Sanders?
They're campaigning for Bernie, not for progressive issues.
Oh wow!
And the problem with that is this is where Jason said, Dr. Johnson, who couldn't join us tonight, but he will be on, and we'll be back again Tuesday and Thursday every week. So, but he said to us that we were all soldiers without an army. I mean, we were all soldiers without a direction. And that's when we start, whenever you have a soldier.
You need to define the we.
Oh, Bernie supporters.
Okay.
Right? And people who supported Bernie Sanders, millions of people who supported Bernie Sanders don't have directions right now. And I don't know if the Biden campaign is strong enough or acting fast enough or slowly moderating to a left platform fast enough to actually keep the soldiers from raping and pillaging, as Jason used it in his last analogy last time.
Let's not use that ever.
Well, pillaging and doing all the destructive things that soldiers after war would do without direction, right? And right now, the Sanders campaign is is without direction. I think the most dangerous thing that they could possibly do is campaign against Joe Biden for Bernie when Bernie's not even there right now. That's a very dangerous precedent. So
yeah, I mean, it just when I started thinking about the write-in, and while this candidate was not a write-in, he dropped out of the race and got back in. Ross Perot did a lot of damage to an election, like being on the ballot that way. So I just thought about like what that means to the voters, like if they see Bernie's name as a write-in, or if it's a successful write-in campaign, meaning that Bernie gets any significant amount of the vote, then we already know that means that's a victory for Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, I mean, but here's the problem: you can't blame Bernie; you have to blame his supporters. Now,
I'm not. Listen, here's the thing. Like when I say something, I think a lot of people get that twisted too. I'm a very like loud and boisterous person, but I don't blame people for the way what they feel and vote.
No, I'm not saying you.
I don't blame Bernie. Yeah.
No. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying the narrative from 2016 was it was Bernie's fault that Donald Trump got elected. And it wasn't
Bernie's fault. It was Hillary Clinton's fault, Bernie.
It was Hillary Clinton's fault. Now, here's my thing, and I'm gonna make it very simple for the world to understand. If you know you have a solid base of neoliberal support that's gonna pretty much, I don't think people who support Joe Biden right now would stop supporting him if he supported Medicare for all.
No one's gonna stop supporting him because he supports Medicare for all.
Okay, follow what I'm saying. I don't think anyone would stop supporting Joe Biden if he said, I want free college.
No one.
Everyone. Right. Okay. Follow what I'm saying. People would stop supporting Bernie Sanders if he had a nomination, if he said, I no longer support Medicare for all.
Okay.
Right. So what I'm saying to you is, I believe the onus of getting all the Bernie Sanders supporters is completely on one man, Joe Biden. Because it's not on Bernie supporters to say, okay, we're going to stop supporting what we wanted completely. It's on Joe to say, well, this is what I'm willing to give you. Is that enough? And so far what he gave is just not enough.
Yeah. It's my job as the founder of Black Men Voters Project to increase Black men participation in electoral politics. Joe Biden's name will not be the way I increase Black men in the electoral politics. I'm just saying, like, and I don't need to tell Black men or anybody who to vote for. I just think if I lay out the issues, and I think I'll let the comparisons of the issues that are important to Black men and where the two candidates stand speak for themselves. So I'm just hoping that we don't have a 2008 where we have, thank God we had enough support from minority voters, Black and brown voters, and that Barack Obama was still able to overcome those Hillary Clinton supporters that didn't vote for Barack Obama, and which was a larger number than 2016. So I think if as long as Biden is moving to the left, then it should be something that progressives should think about a vote for Biden. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I'm more concerned with how I get Pastor Warnock and whoever else wins the other Senate election elected. As soon as Bernie dropped out of the race, I can't front. I'll support Joe Biden, but somebody got to talk to me, and no one has still talked to me yet. Matter of fact, if I want to get gaslit, all I need to do is say Joe Biden and the crime bill. And I promise you, on my Facebook page, on Twitter, on Instagram, there will be 40 different people telling me, well, either I need to move past it, I need to not care about it, we have bigger fish to fry, or the Supreme Court, right? But in this moment, it always seems like African Americans always have to put their issues aside for the greater good. And with Joe Biden, he is definitely a candidate that we have to put our issues aside for a greater good, because Donald Trump can actually make more Supreme Court picks.
But and just not just Supreme Court. Like Donald Trump has done a massive amount of work at appointing judges and getting them through the Senate at the federal level. So, and that's the legacy that people are not even thinking about. I mean, his 4 years in office can only be extended another 4 years, where his legacy for his judicial appointments will be lifetime appointments, which means our kids, or those of us that will have kids, will be dealing with a conservative court at the federal level.
Yeah, we're still dealing with HW assignments right now, right? We're still dealing with some of Clinton's folks right now, right? So it's and some of the policies and some of the rules that they affected. So you're absolutely right. But I will be working, or I will be funding, or I will be sending money to local elections and local candidates, because as Councilman Khalid just said, local elections matter. And that's very important.
I mean, local elections always matter. I think this is the politics is big business, and it's an extremely big business when you're talking about presidential campaigns. So we know why people talk about them so often. I also think people forget how much impact local elections have on your life immediately, right? Immediately, and the fact that people that do this work, don't highlight that and the importance of county commissioners, city council members, or mayors, and also DAs, is tragic. It's extremely tragic. Or even the person who's in charge of your voting rolls, right? Like we saw what happened in Georgia when you had the person in charge of the voter roll also running for governor. He stole an election right in front of our face.
Right. And I mean, shout out to Katie Hobbs, my former state senator in Arizona. She's now the Secretary of State in Arizona. And she just came out with one of the most beautifully penned reasons why vote by mail wouldn't hurt her office or counting votes in the state of Arizona at all, right? So we know that the only fundamental problem that these Republicans have with voting by mail is that they lose. Why? Because everybody has access to the same thing. I mean, at this point in our society, we should be voting online at this point, right? If we can app. Yeah, or an app. If we could file our taxes, now imagine this right here. You can file your taxes online. You can't vote online. So they're willing to get their money from you online, but they're not willing to let you practice democracy online.
Right.
Something to think about.
I mean, well, it's always been fresh in my head. So what's your thought before we close out? I wanted to run this by you, because I hear all of these pastors talking about how they're being creative with church tomorrow. What's your thought on these parking lot church services?
Listen, stay your ass home. I mean, it's that simple. And also, like, here's the thing. Pastor that used to be saying that Facebook is the devil now is literally online every day, basically giving his sermons to his parishioners, and I consider that a responsible move. But it's time for some of our generation, the elder generation, to stop thinking that the internet is the devil, right? And it's time for some of our pastors.
But is that really a pervasive thought, though?
It was. It's not, but it was. And to be honest with you, it's definitely not now.
It sounds like one of those tropes. Because to me, when I hear that, I also think about, like, black men are sex crazy, aggressive creatures. You know what I'm saying? That's what it sounds like to me. So I don't know if it's in the science.
I'll just say, I'm gonna talk about my grandparents. They don't get on the internet, right? Okay. How about black folks? Let me just say my grandparents, right? Yeah. And I'm gonna say my pastor, right? Like, my pastors didn't use the internet and actually. So I'm talking about from my experiences. I don't know it's in general, but I do agree with some of the tropes. If that's a trope, I kind of agree with it, because it's hard as hell for me to get my grandma to FaceTime me. I have to get my little cousin to put the phone in her face and then say, "Oh, talk to your grandson." And maybe it's age, but what I am saying is, right now, more important to answer your question, hold service online. Just hold service online.
Yeah.
I mean, and protect your people. I mean, you want to have people around for Easter next year, right?
I just think it's to me, it's so dangerous to invite people to a church, and invite people anywhere in the time of COVID-19. I will say this: the reason I push back on the idea that older people are afraid of the internet or think it's the devil is because I got these super Christian country parents, you know what I'm saying? And they were born, of a certain generation, 49. And they are, they're on Facebook. Probably they may be even watching this video right now because my mom. And we're talking, 70 years old. So I mean, like, I don't know. I think a lot of the times we forget that there's stuff that, like, I didn't know anything about Snapchat till my nieces and nephews put it in my face. I don't do Snapchat.
Right.
I don't think it's the devil. I just don't do it. You know what I mean? So
Are you on TikTok?
absolutely not.
Yeah, you're behind, bro.
Listen. I was on Instagram when it first came out, but I only got like 30 posts forever. I like words, man. I like interacting with people the way Facebook interact. I was on Twitter before it became the cool space. I was on Twitter when it was only nerds up there. But then you had Ashton Kutcher and Larry King do that 1 million follower challenge. And ever since then, Twitter's been different. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm on Twitter, been up there, but I like Facebook. I like YouTube. Like most black men, I like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
Yeah. Well, listen, I am gonna take back all that I've said negatively about the older black folks.
Thank you.
Don't come back. Don't come at me because I know y'all be online. And Kim Carter says you way behind, bro.
Well, listen, I'm gonna text her later, but she's right. When I just can't. I don't. My brain don't move that fast with videos as it pertains to like TikTok and all that stuff. I would download it and it would just sit there and not be used.
Well, I'm just happy that you never use the word sports ball because that's what.
I mean, I listen. I'm not into sports like that. I can't name 5 athletes in any of the sports. Probably.
You can't name 5 athletes. Come on, man.
I'm talking about, like,
5 basketball players.
What I'm saying is I can't name 5 people in each sport. I couldn't do it. Like basketball, football, I couldn't do it.
No. I refuse. You know 5 basketball players.
I know.
You know 5.
I know LeBron James.
Come on, who else?
I know LeBron James. I know LeBron James. I mean,
Kevin Garnett.
He ain't a basketball player. He retired, right?
He retired. Okay, Kevin Durant.
Okay, I know him. I mean, like if you call out names, I see names scroll, but I'm saying like it's not my thing. Like I know the sports. I mean, I could beat you at basketball.
Speaking, no, you can't. What
Okay.
kind of crack are you smoking? We gonna find out. We can find out what up.
I'm smoking that good crack. If you think you can beat me at basketball,
You are.
if you think you can beat me at sports ball, try me.
Hey, you messing up our brand here, man.
Hey, Chris said Bill Russell.
Bill Russell.
Right now. I definitely know he's not. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:59 and 32 seconds. We want to thank y'all for joining us this Saturday evening. Remember, Clickbaity will be back Tuesday, 7 o'clock, same channel. If you haven't liked the page, like the page. If you haven't liked the video, please like and share the video. Also, follow us, y'all. Also, our website is coming pretty soon, so stay tuned. Peace.
Peace.
Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, thirst trap, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it.